speech this evening. Thanks, Barbara. So I'm very, very excited to talk to you and bring you some people, Catherine Addison from St. Vinny's. And the reason that I am so excited about it is because some of you may know that I work with people who've been incarcerated and are rejoining the community. And some years ago, I was surprised to find out that St. Vinny's offered vouchers for nothing to people who needed clothing. It made sense given the fact that we all know about their stores. And then I was surprised to find out that St. Vinny's also gives vouchers to people in need, whom they call their neighbors. They don't call them clients. They don't call them anything but neighbors or friends. They also give vouchers for furniture, for kitchen needs. So I thought, my goodness, there's a lot more to St. Vinny's than most of us know about. So I'm happy to introduce you to Catherine Addison, who is with St. Vinny's. And Catherine, you'll tell us who you are and what you do there. And I'm turning it over to you. Introduce St. Vinny's to our people. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Pat. Yeah, glad to be with you all today. My name is Catherine Addison. I'm the communications manager at the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, Madison. You might know us for our 7 thrift stores in Dane County, but I'll be happy to share a little bit more about our history, values, and mostly about our programs with you today. So I'm going to go ahead and get my screen set up for you here to see what we're looking at, and hopefully it works okay. I think that looks good, but I'm just going to start a little bit with a background of who we are. So, like I mentioned, you might know us for our stores, but actually, St. Vinny's is a global, worldwide organization. So, you can see our mission statement up there. We are actually the largest lay Catholic organization in the world. We are not connected to the Diocese of Madison. We're not connected with any church. But the roots of our society are in the Catholic tradition and in the spirit of St. Vincent de Paul. So none of our employees have to be Catholic. You can see our Vincentian virtues there of simplicity, humility, gentleness, zeal, selflessness. Those are virtues that guide our mission, that guide what we do. So that's just a little bit about us. Like I mentioned, we are global. I think it's kind of interesting to know that while myself, the Society of St. Vincent de Paul Madison, we operate just in Dane County, there are other Vincentians, other people following St. Vincent de Paul in his works of charity around the world. So the official long title that we're kind of organized under is the International Confederation of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. You can see kind of some of the impact there of our breadth across the globe, across the country. But the service that we do, it depends on the community. So we're really kind of a grassroots organization, and the society looks different depending on where you are. So some of us have stores, some of us don't. Some of us have pantries, some of us don't. So it just depends, what are the needs of the community, what kind of bubbles up. So just to give you a little bit of kind of visual, I just have some slides here on the society in Brazil, in India, Croatia, Hong Kong, and Lebanon. So just a couple examples there. You'll see that kind of crayon fish. That's the international symbol. Of course, we don't use that here in Madison, but that is kind of popular across the globe.
And of course, that is from feed somebody for a day or give them, teach them to fish and they can feed themselves. Isn't that what that comes from?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I would definitely believe it. Yeah, kind of fish and loaves vibe as well. But yeah, there's the red-eyed fish is out there. Um, so that's us globally. Let's bring it back now here to Dane County. Just a couple brief kind of standout points in our history to give you a little bit of background. Um, Basically, we first started in Madison and Dane County in 1925. So that's when the first conferences formed. Now, what's a conference? A conference, and forgive me if some of you might know this, but that is a group of volunteers, of members. We call our members Vincentians. So these Vincentians, these groups of conference members, they are really the roots of our society. And I'll get into that more later. But all in all, the first kind of groupings of these St. Vincent de Paul volunteers, they started in 1925. So 1941, we actually purchased a plot of building on Willie Street in the Willie Marquette neighborhood, 409 South Baldwin Street. That would later become our St. Vinny's Willie Street store. In 1990, we opened our first service center out of that store, out of that same corner on Baldwin and Willie. And that's the picture on the bottom right that you'll see there. Of course, that building actually has been remodeled, expanded into our latest iteration of our thrift store there on Willie Street. So that got remodeled in 2024, 2025. Another point to kind of highlight here is our Center for Vincentian Charity. Okay, what does that mean? That has a couple names. We call it our service center. We call it the home to the pantry and pharmacy. But for all intents and circumstances, our kind of main locus of charity is here on Fish Hatchery Road. That's where I'm sitting now. It's the home to our admin offices. It's home to our pantry and pharmacy. That opened in 2009. A couple more program openings you can see there, but the last thing I'll point out is that we are actually closing our centennial year. So we've been celebrating 100 years in Dane County, um, and we're closing out that centennial year this spring. All right, so let's move forward into our charitable programs, kind of the bulk of our time here today.
And Catherine, I think most of us know St. Vinny's from all of the retail stores, the thrift stores in Madison. And so I think, like me, people are going to be just amazed at the breadth of neighborly support that you offer to a variety of neighborhoods here in Madison, Dane County.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, like I said, a lot of people know us for our stores. That's what I knew us for. But we're always trying to share kind of all the good that we do. And before I get into it, one thing I realized I didn't add in here is that, when you shop at St. Vinny's, all of the proceeds from your sale comes to these programs that I'm going to lay out. So we have our 7 stores. All the proceeds stay here in Dane County. So that is kind of what you're supporting when you're shopping at St. Vinny's.
Oh, I'd like to, are you going to, I don't know if you'll mention this, but the fact that all of the things that are donated at the stores go to a central location where they're sorted and priced and determined which stores they should go to. It's just an amazing operation on the retail side.
Yeah, I can go into that in a moment before we get into the programs, but yeah, like Pat just mentioned, all of the donations that we receive are centrally processed. You're in your car, you're driving at St. Vinny's Odana, you drop off your goods at the store. Our trucking staff picks up those goods and takes them to our warehouse, our processing center. I think there's about 80 staff that go through every donation, They price them, they hang them, they sort them, and then they're dispersed back out to the stores. Sometimes large furniture, if you donate it at the store, that will just stay at the store. It's a little too cumbersome to bring it back and send it back out. But the bulk of your donations are being centralized, are being processed centrally. Um, it's ensuring consistency across what we're putting out to the store. But yeah, that's kind of a unique part of us too, that not everything you donate at one store will stay there. It will kind of get processed and then sent back out. Yeah. Are there any other questions about the retail side before I go into programs? Be happy to answer them now. All right.
I'll just add one more thing, Catherine.
Sure.
Uh, and that is as the variety of donations are processed, um, that you follow sustainability concept, right? Things that you can't sell are processed in a couple of different ways to make sure that nothing goes into the landfill. So I find that really important. That community-wide, uh, you're aware of all of the things that are necessary in a community. So yeah.
Right, that's very true. We try to send as minimal items as we can to the landfill. One of our 7 stores is Dig and Save Outlet Store on Park Street. Maybe you're familiar with that, but that's kind of our, second chance goods end up there. Anything that didn't sell at our 6 other retail stores will go to Dig and Save, where it's pay by the pound, a little bit cheaper. So yeah, we recycle a ton, um, trying to be as eco-friendly as possible. We get an enormous amount of donations, and so it is a responsibility for us. So let me move into some of these programs here. I have a slide for each, and we'll kind of get down on that train. So first, let me start with our food pantry. We are one of the biggest most busiest food pantries in Dane County. We are currently operating outside via a drive-through, but we also have folks can order online and we can deliver food to them. Delivery can only be in 10 miles from our pantry, but we do a lot of delivery. One interesting thing about our pantry is we actually pioneered the model of customer choice in the county. So when our pantry first opened back in 2009, like I mentioned, we were set up like a normal grocery store. And people could come in and shop and just choose whatever they wanted. Um, During COVID, we had to be, no contact, social distancing outside. And due to the high numbers, we're still out there. We're seeing so many folks come to us for food that we really cannot serve that amount of people inside. So pluses and minuses with outdoor drive-through. It's definitely a lot faster for people, but they do get kind of prepackaged food. So it's a standard, 75 pounds, produce, meat, dairy, bread, etc. But unfortunately, they don't get to choose. So that's why the online ordering is awesome, where we give that choice back. So that's kind of a lot of detail. I'll let you sit with that a moment. You can see our impact there on the slide. Um, Over $4 million worth of food provided in 2025. Definitely our biggest charity by far. 2,100 orders were delivered. Again, delivery within 10 miles of our pantry. And that's actually made possible through a partnership with DoorDash. That got started a couple years ago, something new that DoorDash was starting, and we've kind of stuck with it. I know it's been a process to work out the kinks and kind of set us up to fulfill these orders, but it's worked. It's amazing. seeing these deliveries go out. Um, yeah, I
And
can't do
that
the math on the fly, but
collected,
like 100 a week or so.
that's ordered food by online by people who
Mhm.
can't come to the pantry. I
Yep.
think the things I thought was so interesting was that many of the DoorDash uh, people actually not only drop off the food, but interact with the neighbors that they're serving. An extra um, unadvertised benefit. I was so amazed at that.
Yeah, and I've heard from my pantry colleagues that, the DoorDash drivers love it because they can pick up, 4 or 5 orders of food in one location. Um, and it's efficient for them. I know some of their drivers have also gotten food themselves. But yeah, it's a really amazing service. We're delivering food for, folks that can't drive, they don't have time to drive, all sorts of situations.
And
Um,
Catherine, one other thing, we had a question from Marcy asking if you deliver food to the stores, to your retail stores.
as far as I know, no, we don't deliver any food to the stores. Um, just to people's homes.
Mhm.
The third bullet point here kind of references dialysis-friendly food bags. That is also something unique. That is a partnership with 2 dialysis clinics, 2 or 3, I can't remember, 2 or 3 dialysis clinics in the area that, that's very specific food that folks can have when they're, in that situation. So I think it's once a month, first Wednesdays of the month, they deliver 145 bags of food for folks at those clinics, and then patients can just take it and have that food. So that's kind of also a little bit of a unique thing that we offer. So let me go ahead and move into uh, another kind of part of the pantry, which is Lacey Garden. So maybe some of you are familiar with Lacey Garden or familiar with the Madison area food pantry gardens as a whole. But this garden is all volunteer run. Volunteers plant, grow, and harvest all kinds of produce. And all of that comes to us, to our pantry.
And actually, it's a Who's New member, Peg Donahue, is it? Peg O'Donnell, right, who works there and is the coordinator with St. Vinny's. Um, so Who's New is involved like that.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, Peg is, I think, yeah, the volunteer leader, the garden leader. But yeah, this is amazing. I have volunteered here before. I've also volunteered with the Schulte Garden out more on the west side, but I think the garden is fabulous. You can kind of see the impact there, over 15,000 pounds collected, tons of different produce varieties planted. Um, and I'm just losing my train of thought what I was going to say. But oh yes, when they harvest the food, for example, they'll harvest it on a Monday evening and it'll come to us that evening and go out to folks on Tuesday morning. So could not be more fresh, more local. Just an amazing service that we're very, very lucky to have. I believe they harvest from maybe June to October. I think May through October is their time, but yeah, just an amazing partnership there. All right, I'm going to move now into our pharmacy. Totally different here now. So as far as we know, we are one of Wisconsin's first and only standalone charitable pharmacies. So standalone as in we're not connected with any larger healthcare organization. And charitable, as in all the medicine we provide is provided for free. So we provide medicine for both, long-term and short-term illnesses. And you can see our patient eligibility there. We see a lot of majority folks that are uninsured, a lot of folks that are falling between the gap of coverage. So maybe they don't have insurance for just a couple of years and then they'll, get covered. But yeah, patients that are in Dane County or that have doctors in Dane County, those that are falling, below that poverty line. Yeah, just I think just truly an amazing resource. I'm sure you can imagine, the negative impacts of not having your medicine. So the pharmacy is, I think, really, really special.
And unique.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Like I mentioned, I don't think there's many others like it. I do know there's a St. Vinny's in Texas that has a pharmacy, and they do incredible work. I believe they mail prescriptions out to folks. We're not at that level, but you can see our impact down there. Over $1 million worth of medicine provided. Um, 354 patients, just a lot of great work happening here. So we have two pharmacists and one pharmacy tech on staff, and the rest of our folks are volunteers. So we have a good partnership with Edgewood College, UW-Madison. We get a lot of pharmacy students, nursing students, um, and like retired healthcare professionals or just community volunteers. So really, really a cool service. It looks and operates just like a normal pharmacy.
And that's at your location on Park Street, right? Or on Fish Hatchery.
So the pharmacy is at our service center on Fish Hatchery Road. Yep. It's in our basement, just below the pantry. So yep, we're on Fish Hatch.
Do you
Yeah.
take any donated medicines or you get it all from the manufacturer?
Yes, we do take donated medicine. It has to be unexpired, not opened. But yes, we
Okay.
do take donated medicine. Um, I've heard slash kind of understand we don't have a huge need for donated medical supplies, but definitely if you have medicine that's in date, it's unopened, we can probably accept it.
Okay.
One thing I did learn from a volunteer is that sometimes we do get medicine that we can't use. And sometimes it's a lot, but we will safely dispose of that with Madison Police at their drop-off location. So, but yes, to answer your question,
Okay.
we take medicine. And there is if you go on our website, a pretty nice walkthrough of kind of the process to do that.
Okay.
All right, so let me move now into our vouchers. This is what Pat, you had mentioned earlier about kind of the clothing and furniture. So this is our voucher program. That's what we call it. Um, so our stores exist. I'm just going to read it. Our stores exist in part to provide clothing, furniture, household goods, and bedding to neighbors in need. So the process is folks can call our service center, give them their information, and we will mail them a voucher. So clothing vouchers are, $50 for adults, $30 for kids, and people, take that piece of paper, that voucher, and they go and shop, and then they don't have to pay anything. We also do furniture vouchers. Most of those are redeemed at Dig and Save. Um, But on that furniture voucher slip, there's things like pots and pans, kitchen towels, all sorts of household items. You can see our impact there on the left, but almost $500,000 worth of clothing provided for free, totally free. Um, Airbeds, we also provide airbeds for folks. We give blankets, bedding, sheets, um, pack and plays, portable cribs, just a lot of things that people need for a variety of reasons. If they're moving, if they're fleeing a bad situation, if an apartment burns, just a lot of situations where people just need help. Like Pat, you had mentioned, folks coming out of, incarceration, they might not have anything. Winter coats if people moved here, boots, the list goes on and on. So this is a wonderful service, and this happens directly out of our stores. So, like that first bullet point says, we have our thrift stores to get funds for our other programs I've mentioned, but also the stores do direct charity. All right, I'm going to move now into our St. Elizabeth Ann Seton program. You may have been familiar with this as the St. Elizabeth Ann Seton House on Willie Street, but the program restructured a couple years ago, and now it's more of a program. We don't provide direct housing. So what this program is it's basically case management, but the neighbors that are in this program are single adults with minor children. So, single adults could be an older sibling that has custody of a younger sibling or a grandparent with custody of their grandkids. And these families are those that were homeless, but they've just recently gotten permanent housing. And when you're in that transition, there's a lot of things that you need to kind of stay stable and stay in housing. So the case managers in this program, they provide all kinds of support. They help folks find transportation. They help them pay for childcare, get a good job, all those things that are going to help them get on a right path, stabilize, reach their goals. Our staff are either cheerleaders, they're providing emotional support. It's very customizable. It varies a lot on each person. Um, and it's just, I think, a very unique service. You can see our impact down there. And one thing to note, like I mentioned, our Willie Street store got redone, expanded on Willie Street. And this program, it's actually just above the store. There's a couple offices in there, and that's where this program is. So I'll let you sit with that just a little bit, but if there are any questions on that program, I'd be happy to answer them.
Catherine, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that folks who volunteer get trained pretty intensively to provide this kind of assistance. That's you do all of that training for volunteers?
That's a great question. Yes, I'm pretty sure they get an extensive amount of training, they as in any volunteers with the program. I'm not super sure what they do. They might do home visits for the families, like, go to their homes and check in. Um, but but yeah, I would assume they get a decent amount of training. We have one, program manager. She's a social worker, and we're hiring for another one. And then we also have a social work intern. But for volunteers, I'm not exactly sure. I'd be happy to find out more and send that to you. But yeah, this program is definitely unique. In this same space that I mentioned, kind of related to the Seton program, is our micro lending program. And this I do know that as well. There are volunteers that work here. I don't exactly know what they do. They might kind of do that initial intake when people are applying. Um, but I know there's volunteers somehow involved here. Um, but our micro lending is our newest program. Um, they're small dollar, low interest loans to help people with debt consolidation. So a lot of times people will use, payday lenders or multiple payday lenders and get this exorbitant interest rate. We can help with that. We can help people get a much lower interest rate, consolidate the debt they have, get them on a good repayment plan, and help them establish a banking relationship. Currently, loans are offered through that should say Bank of Sun Prairie and Lake Ridge Bank. And you can see some of the common needs that people apply for microloans for. Last year, we provided over $20,000 in microloans. 12 new loans. I think that's about just over 40 total. And this program started in 2024. So really, again, really powerful, helping people get financial stability. And yeah, it's a great program.
We talk about about poverty being generational, that it seems that it's difficult to break out of. So microlending can help somebody and trains people so that they don't continue that poverty that has been part of their families. It's just unique and really impressive that you're able to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, ending that cycle, kind of starting with a fresh start. And as I understand, like, establishing that banking relationship, I think is vital. They can get further education, and just again, they're getting support from our staff as well, that encouragement to keep going. So yeah, I think it's really powerful. All right, my last kind of program slide here is kind of my catch-all. So this is kind of any services that, oh, I can't go for it. There we go. Any services beyond what I've mentioned. So I'll just run through them here for you. The building you see on the right is Vinnie's Lockers. That is just across the street from our service center on Fish Hatchery Road. But that is a storage facility where people that are homeless can store their belongings. So when you don't have a home and you don't have a place to store your winter boots or like your family heirlooms or family photos, that can be quite difficult. So we have a spot set up here that folks can, get a bin, get a locker, and safely store their belongings. We also provide utility assistance. That's actually linked with the second point there of home visits. So back at the beginning when I was talking about our conferences and the Vincentian volunteers that go out, they go out and do home visits. So they'll visit people in their homes, sit with them, see what they need. A lot of people need help paying rent. They need help with utilities. We don't do rent assistance, but we do offer a little bit of utility assistance. If a home visitor goes out and there's kind of an extensive need per se, we do have a special program called the Sister Rosalie program, and that's for pretty unique circumstances like needing new tires or something that's just pretty urgent for the family, and that's going to really disrupt their stability. We also have the Little Drummer program. Again, that's connected with our home visitors and our member volunteers. Little Drummer is a Christmas gift distribution. It's a little tough because it's not public. It's for any families that got a home visit during the year. But all in all, we provide hundreds and hundreds of Christmas gifts to kiddos throughout the county. Also in wintertime, at the end of January each year is our Recycle the Warmth blanket drive. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you've donated, but this year was our 34th year of collecting blankets, bedding, sheets, and all of those items are given away through the furniture vouchers that I mentioned earlier. We take new and used blankets, gently used. Last bullet point on there is our youth service scholarship. So we have a youth service council, group of high schoolers that are kind of aspiring Vincentian members, but they collect money each year and give scholarships away to high school students. So that's also pretty special. I just wanted to share our latest impact report here with you. It's quite small, so I'd be happy to send you a link. But this is just, a pretty version of our impact, basically. A lot of these points I've touched upon. But one thing to notice off to the right here is kind of our the value of the service we provided. So earlier I said we provided over 4 million just in food. Our total for the year of all the programs I just mentioned was just over 6 million. You can see on the bottom here, kind of the charts across the year. The first bar is 2021 and the last bar is 2025. So the need is definitely increasing year over year, and we're very blessed to have incredible donors and shoppers that allow us to serve all these people. So yeah, the need has increased every year I've been here, but we're glad to be of service. So the
Catherine,
last,
I had a question.
go
I
ahead.
had a question that I asked the other day when I was in, and that is, how do people who shop at St. Vinny's find out about all of this? And I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, that when you're in one of the stores, that there are brochures that people can pick up that describe some of this. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I write all of our newsletters and our impact reports like this, and I do send them to the stores. I will say we're always trying to do a better job of getting our mission content into the stores. Um, but we hope that people are recognizing the impact that we're having. We're always trying to tell our story, tell our impact. Um, but if you'd like to learn more, I would encourage you to sign up for our newsletter on our website. I'd be happy to add you to our mailing list, our emailing list. Um, but probably the best way to learn about more of the mission is to check out our website. I don't think there's a ton of kind of the program information in stores just because they're, so focused on retail, but you can find our newsletters in there sometimes. That makes sense.
Good. And if somebody wanted to volunteer, how would they go about that?
Absolutely. Well, let me share our volunteer slide with you here. Um, just to give you a little a rundown. But if you're interested in volunteering, please go to our website under the Join Us tab. Once you're there, you'll see a section for employees, members, and volunteers, and there'll be a button to learn more. And I'm happy to share that with you as well afterwards. You can see kind of the service areas where most of our volunteers work. Folks usually come 2 hours a week, but that varies. Most are in the pantry. We have most of our volunteers in the pantry, just again with the breadth and the extent of how much food we're giving out. And you can see our volunteer numbers down there. I don't think the 21,000 volunteer number is correct. I might have to fact check that. That might have been a typo, but in any case, there's if you're interested, we can find a role for you. I'm
There's
just
such a
gonna,
variety of things you do.
yeah, I'm just gonna back up here a second, and talk about our conferences one last time. Um, this again, this is the basic groups of the society. These are our Vincentians that are joining together spiritually to build friendships and serve their community. So if you're interested in kind of more of the faith aspect, they're organized at Catholic churches, of course, but there's also that. We again, they do an incredible amount of service. They do home visits. They organize blanket drives. Just a lot of good happening there as well.
And you don't have to be Catholic or even religious to be a volunteer.
Absolutely. Yep, that's absolutely correct. Yes. Yep. Most of our members are Catholic, of course, because they're organized in those parishes, but to be a volunteer, not at all. No, all are welcome.
Hi, I have a couple of questions. This is Mary Winkle.
Okay.
I posted the one. I'm wondering how they coordinate with other programs and services throughout Dane County, if they do. So human
Yes.
services and, referrals, things like that.
Sure. Well, the first thing that comes to mind, I know for the Seton program, we get referrals, at least when it started, we would get referrals from YWCA and Catholic Charities of that had been helping families find the permanent housing, and then we would, I'm not sure exactly how it worked, but those families would be referred to us if they wanted to, get a little more help to stay stable. Um, for the pharmacy, I do know that a lot of the free clinics in Dane County, they will refer patients to us. I actually worked at a free clinic before, and we sent, you know, most of our patients here if they needed medicine. Um, I know for clothing and furniture vouchers, at one point I saw that, when people call 211 United Way, we are like the first or second or third or one of the top referrals that 211 will send people to for clothing and furniture. Probably food as well, I would guess. Probably Vinnie's Lockers too, if folks are homeless. So yeah, I don't know if there's any, I'm trying to think of any other kind of hard and fast partnerships we have, but back to the pantry.
Well, of course, there is one that is not a not-for-profit. It's the Department of Corrections. Parole officers frequently have access to a number of things, mainly the vouchers for furniture, bedding, clothing for people who've been recently incarcerated. That is a huge program that you do. And again, it's through a county agency, which is just amazing to me. The home visits are another thing, Catherine, that I had never even imagined. And again, I'm only familiar with people who've been recently incarcerated, but these people have a real hard time coming back into the community and being a member of the community. And the home visits make that transition so much easier. It's just, I was just blown away when I found out all of the things that St. Vinny's does in the community. And something else that your CEO explained to me is you are not regulated by the government in any way. Can you explain that at all?
Sure, I can explain it in as much detail as I know, but I know we don't get any government money. We don't get any government assistance. Um, yeah, that I think that pretty much sums that up. But we fundraise heavily. As you can imagine, $6 million of services. I'm a proud member of our fundraising team here, and we rely on a generous community to keep our doors open, keep our staff paid. We're one of the largest employers in Dane County. We don't tout that at all. I think there was a number in there. It's maybe 240 employees total, but yeah, we're a large organization. We serve a lot of people, and yeah, it's just wonderful that people have supported us for so long, and people have really long ties with St. Vinny's. I remember when I started here, everyone I met said, I've been here for 10 years, 15 years. So it's incredible. And our volunteers, some have been volunteering since the building was built. It's just a really, really cool organization.
It's so wonderful to understand that a single organization can provide such a range of services, unencumbered by any regulations. So, and I will just mention a particular story that Julie Bennett, who's your CEO, mentioned to me the other day, and it was about the DoorDash deliveries. That the first day that they had the relationship with DoorDash, all of these people showed up with their cars to pick up food and to be delivered. And when they found out that it wasn't something that they were going to get paid for, many of them left. But the ones who stayed have become almost like members of the organization. They not only deliver the food and products from the food pantry, but many of them do the equivalent of home visits, that personal touch. I think that just exemplifies the spirit of St. Vinny's. I, for one, was so surprised at the range of services that are available, especially the pharmacy. That really blew me away because that's so
Mhm,
unusual. So
mhm.
I was just delighted to be able to have you send us all this information and tell us all of the things that you do. And the other thing was that when I was in the food pantry, there were only 5 employees of all of the people who were working there. Everybody else was a volunteer. And they were having a good time. I got a big kick out of it. Everybody was enjoying their volunteer hours. So I can't say enough about St. Vinny's. It was a wonderful surprise to me, and I'm sure to all of you who've been listening. Any other questions, comments?
There
Yes.
was a question in the chat. I think I incorrectly answered this before, but the question is, can you drop off food donations at one of the stores? I may have said we wouldn't deliver food there, but yes, you can deliver food to the stores. We would probably prefer it at the pantry, but yes, they do receive food and it will come to our pantry eventually. But so I just wanted to clarify that one.
Great.
I have one more question, and that is practical. When I'm sorting through my stuff and some of it looks clothing pretty worn, ragged, towels and that, do they recycle things they get like that, or does it go in the landfill, or what happens to stuff that's kind of beyond its useful life?
Yeah, that's a great question. We, we'll recycle what we can, but to be honest, sometimes we get trash and it's just trash.
Right.
So, yeah, if it's
But is,
something you're not gonna wear, if it's ripped, someone else probably isn't gonna
yeah,
buy it.
I didn't know if they actually recycled for fiber content or whatever. That's what I was wondering.
We
Yeah,
do
Catherine,
spend a
I
lot
think
for recycling.
I
I'm
guess
thinking of a
I
webinar.
asked Julie the same question,
Yeah.
Mary. And the answer I got was that the outlook is totally environmental. Things that are no longer usable go someplace where they cut it up and use it for other
Okay.
stuff. You know,
Mhm. Yes, that's
so
what I was wondering.
yeah, the idea, as you mentioned, Catherine, is to keep it out of the landfill as much as possible. So,
Okay, thank you.
anybody else? Catherine, I thank you so much. I know that you're stepped in today to do this, but you've done a great job explaining St. Vinny's across the board. So thanks so much. And to all of you who tuned in today, and those of you who will be looking at this as a recording, think about the fact that this is one organization in Dane County that serves all of their neighbors. They call them neighbors or friends. Think what that means, rather than clients, or disadvantaged people, and that they call them neighbors. I think that says a whole lot about the organization, and it's one of the things that I think we can all appreciate, that we live in our circle, in our circles, but oh my goodness, people who are unhoused and are needy are served by people who don't look down on giving charity, who are really part of the neighborhood, and I find that amazing. And I'm very thankful that you exist in our community, Catherine. So thank you for doing this today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, very happy to share. Yeah, it was great.
Good. Thank you all. And we'll look forward to next month when I think we're going to talk about ice. So.